What's up, guys? Back with me is here, and today I'll be doing my review for Toy Story 3. Yes, there is a third movie, and yeah. Okay, so this movie starts off with 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 Woody was Andy pretending to play Woody and him chasing after One-Eyed Bart, and he's like, hey, I got married, and he's like, One-Eyed Betty, and yeah, and then he and they and then yeah, and then with the little aliens they ride off, but then Buzz stops them, and then before they can stop them, the evil Doctor Porkchop beams them up and beams them up, and then we see Andy playing with the toys in montages with You Got a Friend in Me, and then we flash forward 10 years, and we see Andy as a 17-year-old kid and Molly as like 14 or 15, 13 or 12 or 13, I don't know. And Andy's ready to go off to college, and he's like, what about your old toys? And Woody, Buzz, yeah. And then Woody and Buzz try to call Andy, but Woody doesn't answer. So he's like, and he thinks it's Molly. So she's like, "No, I didn't try to call you." So yeah, so he's like, "What about your old toys?" So he's like, "They're junk and all that stuff." And then we see Molly, and she's looking for stuff to give over to donation, and she sees Barbie, and she just throws her in. So and Jesse says, "Poor Barbie," and yeah, and then yeah, in those 10 years, they've lost Edge, they've lost Wheezy, they've lost Bo. It's very they've all got donated and yard saled and all that stuff. So yeah, so yeah, but they're like, but Andy puts them in the attic, but then but then his mom thinks they're trash, so he's he thinks they're being sent to the donation box for Sunnyside Daycare, so he puts them. And then Jessie thinks this is her original owner all over again, where her owner didn't play with her and she got donated. So, but then Woody tries to inform him, and Jessie's like, "Hey, Andy's 17 now. He's not playing with us anymore." And yeah, and Woody accidentally gets thrown to the Sunnyside, and yeah, and And then we meet Lotso. Yeah, Lotso hugging Barry says, "Sorry, I'm a hugger." And yeah, and while they're all excited for this new adventure, Woody is not, cause he'd rather be at home, getting ready for Andy to go off to college with him, than being here and being watching his friends. And he's like, "Come on, guys, there's a kid, Andy, back at home who's ready for us to move on." And they're like, "Woody, Andy's grown up. You gotta move on." And he's like, and he's like, "But," and he said, then I'll, then you guys, hey, look, like you guys are all being selfish. But I get where they're coming from. Andy's grown up. He doesn't play with them anymore. But Woody, he's had attachment to Andy because, they've had this thing since the beginning of the film. So I get where Woody's coming from, but I get where they're also coming from because because Andy called him junk. He said he's this. It's been 10 years since he last played with them, and yes, so I get where they're coming from. But Woody still Kermit Andy leaves, and he gets in the hands of Bonnie, who's a little girl who 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 has toys of her own and likes to pretend like Andy did. So yeah, but Woody's like, "I gotta get home with my kid," and she's like, and I think he starts to like it there. But over on the sunny side front, the guys aren't doing so well because the kids there, they're not there to like play with them like Andy did. They're toddlers. Like they wreck things. They like smash Bud. They use Jesse as a paintbrush. They One kid puts Mr. Potato Head's leg up his nose, like it's so gross. And yeah, and they, yeah, it's just like they destroyed the toys. They got wrecked, and they're like, and, wow. And he's like, oh, and then Buzz, and yeah, and also yeah. So yeah, Ken has been hanging out with Barbie because Ken and Barbie, but Ken is also with lots of with in this like villain poke game. I did get a fight where the guy's called Ken a girl's toy. He's like, I'm not. He calls himself a guy's toy, and then Buzz gets captured, but Lonzo's like, hey, I'll just transfer you to the birth room with the big kid. But he's like, I'm, I'm, I'm not gonna do that. So he's like, put him in a timeout, and he's like, give me his instruction manual. So yeah, he's like, oh, here's how to turn you from play to demo, and yeah, all we hear is Buzz say, no, yeah, Lonzo, the villain now, just like Stinky Pete. Seems nice on the inside, seems nice on the outside, but villain on the inside. So yeah, so we get Lonzo's backstory, but even hearing Lonzo's backstory does not make me feel sympathy for him. We get Lonzo's backstory is that he and his owner used to do everything together, but one day her mom accidentally left. She got her. Yeah, the kid got tired, but they accidentally left Lonzo in the game behind. But by the time Lonzo got back, his owner replaced him with another Lonzo, and something just snapped in Lonzo, and he just started ruling side daycare with an iron fist. And this did not make me feel sympathy for Lonzo. So yeah, well, and he's like, hey, Lonzo, we're gonna leave, but he's like, no, and Jesse's like, who's gonna stop us? And then Bud, who, thanks to Lonzo, now is back to thinking he's a space ranger again because of the demo being changed to demo. He attacks them and they've just turned Buzz into the villain, but we all know who the real villain is. It's Lonzo. So while Buzz is doing that, they're able to trick. Ken says, "I'm done with you. You're in with the villains, so I'm done with you." So yeah. So yeah, and then they sneak. So yeah, and then Woody gets back there, and he's like, the only way to get, and the telephone says the only way to get your friends out of here is to stop the monkey, because the monkey sees everything, and he's a little drum monkey, and he sees everything. You can't get in or out without his detection. So Woody stops them. They capture Buzz. They capture Buzz, and they get the instruction manual. Actually, how they do it is that Ken as Barbie's like in Ken's dream house, and she's like, "Hey, how do we turn Buzz back?" And he doesn't tell her until she starts ripping his shirts, and he eventually said, "Well, what happened?" So they turn Buzz back, but Ham says, "Don't do it for 5 minutes," and they do it for 5 minutes, and Buzz is now Spanish. Yeah. Buzz is now Spanish, and he's like, "Oh, you amigo? Are you amigo or amigo?" And he's like, "We're amigos. We're all amigos." And he's like, and they just kiss, and he just kisses. He's like, he kisses Woody. He's like, that's just funny. He kisses Woody, and yeah. So since Buzz still he's not bad anymore. He's Spanish, but he's like, you know what my spaceship is? Excelente, or excellent, and yeah. So yeah. But Buzz, so yeah, and then so when they're about to, they're all confronted by Lonzo, and Lonzo's like, hey, you're about toys are meant to be thrown in the trash anyway, Sheriff. And he's like, what about your kid? And he's like, you lied to Big Baby about your kid. You know, the doll Big Baby. And he's like, and she's like, and he breaks the doll, breaks like the necklace that he came with, and Big Baby just loses it, throwing Lotso into the trash and closing it, but he's able to put Woody in, and yeah, but when and but and Buzz goes back to normal, and yeah, and Lonzo's like, please help me, but I'm like, no, don't help him. They help him, and they're running about to be incinerated when Lonzo decides, hey, he's still the villain, and he's like, where's your kid now, Sheriff, and just leaves them. Lonzo, I dislike you even more than I already do. Yeah, so, but when they're about to be burned alive, they all hold their hand, and a big claw comes in, and who's operating this claw? The green aliens, and they're like, the claw, and yeah, and they're back. Also, I forgot to mention, Sid is in this movie. You know, Sid from Toy Story 1. He's a garbage collector now. I guess something happened. Yeah, it's been 10 years since Toy Story 2, so that means, yeah, Sid Phillips is no longer a psychopath. So, yeah, he's a garbage collector. So, yeah, but anyway, back to what I was saying. They take them to storage, and Woody, and he gives them Bonnie, but Andy gives all the toys to Bonnie, and he looks at Woody, and he gives her to Woody too, and yeah, it's kind of like passing the torch. Like these were Woody's toys, but now they're Bonnie's now, and it's like passing the torch, and they all play with each other. They all play each other as Andy leaves, and they're like, to infinity. See ya. Yeah. So, and that's how Toy Story ends. Toy Story 3 ends. Okay, so this episode was movie was really good. I really liked it. Also, I feel like they were trying to reiterate the Stinky Pete thing last movie where he acted like a good guy when he was actually the villain. Same with Lotso, acted like a good guy, was the villain all along. See? And Andy, 10 years. Okay, yeah, 10 years since the second movie. Wow. Wheezy, gone. Bo Peep, gone. Etch, gone. It's just like, and Wheezy, he was starting to become my favorite character. Toy Story 2 was the last time we saw Wheezy, and it's very sad. But, yeah. And Andy, there's still the theory that Andy's mom is Jesse's old owner. It's still a theory that was probably debunked. But it would be interesting if that was true, because, you know, she didn't have a problem. Yeah. So, and Mom, she went in Andy's room for some reason, but he wouldn't give it to her. And how she treated Barbie in this entire movie. I think she went to Bonnie too. So, yeah. This movie was really good. Really good. You can't trust Lotso. You can't trust Lotso the hugging bear. He smells like strawberry, but they're not nice strawberries, dude. I can't believe that the whole reason why Lotso was a bad guy was because of his owner. It seems like Jesse's owner gave up on her, and that was very sad. But this time, Lotso's backstory wasn't sad. He was already a villain, had no sympathy for him. They were trying to give their villain sympathy, had no sympathy. Next, I'll be doing Toy Story 4, the hopefully final movie in the Toy Story trilogy. Probably not. There's probably going to be a 5th Toy Story movie after this, because they just can't. People like Toy Story 4, and they all say Toy Story 4, Toy Story 3 should have been the last movie. And the actress who played Bonnie in this movie doesn't even come back for the sequel. For the fourth movie, she's voiced by another actress. So, yeah. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the fourth movie to see how I feel about it. All three movies have been good so far. Some people don't like the fourth movie, but some people do. And I'm really excited to watch it. I want it to be good. I do. But I don't know. Toy Story 3 was dark. It was dark, man. It was a dark movie. Like the toys being burned alive. Was that kind of... There's kind of thing that movie, that scene, that line was kind of like hinted, was kind of like when Stinky Peter, the prospector, said in the last movie, he said that the toy would be all end up in a landfill. Was that a nod to the next movie without noticing it was? Because did they kind of nod this movie without even knowing this movie would be a thing? Because Prospector, he did say, and also Lotso, he gets his comeuppance in the end by being tied to like a truck. So I'd like to mention that. But yeah, also Sid didn't get his comeuppance in the first movie. He was just traumatized by the toys. Stinky Pete got his coming to him by getting put with that little girl, and yeah, Lotso, he got his comment. He got his was coming to him when he got dropped to the truck. Yeah, Sid's the only villain that was a villain all the way through, except for in this movie because he only made a cameo. But Lotso, he pretended to be the good guy. Prospector pretended to be a good guy. They both turned out to be villains. I'm excited for the fourth movie. Get ready for Toy Story 5, everyone, because that's probably happening. I don't know. Because it can. So I'll see you guys in the next one. In Toy Story 4.